On the line with us is political essayist and commentator, contributor to Salon, host of the Chauncey DeVega Show podcast at chaunceydevega.com. You can tweet him at Chauncey DeVega. Chauncey DeVega himself. Chauncey, welcome back to the program.
How are you? Doing great. Always a pleasure to be here.
It's great having you with us. So, Chauncey, you wrote this piece over at Salon. I believe it's at Salon. Let me get back over here. Yeah, it's at Salon. Titled, "Why Won't the Mainstream Media Tell the Truth About Racist Ghoul Stephen Miller?" On this program, several days ago when it became, or maybe a week or so ago, when it became obvious that Trump was running a 2018-2020 re-election, Republican re-election strategy by demonizing people of color, specifically in this case, largely Central American refugees, and calling them something other than that. And the media was going along by not calling them refugees, by calling them migrants and immigrants. That this was, in fact, I said it on this program, I've said it numerous times, this is Stephen Miller's strategy. And I think, I never dug into that. I just said it. Please, who is Stephen Miller? Why should we care? What's going on here? Tell us about this.
Well, the New York Times actually had a piece, a sort of quote-unquote expose about Donald Trump's evil, hellish policy that is really ethnic violence, again, not against non-whites. Because, again, these aren't white folks that this is being done to. This is brown folks coming here because of war, seeking a better life, but most of them are refugees. Stephen Miller, again, there's a ton of evidence about this man. This is not hard to find. Stephen Miller is a white supremacist. He was mentored and worked in college with Richard Spencer, who's one of the country's most prominent white supremacists. Stephen Miller, just like Michael Anton, Stephen Bannon, Sebastian Gorka, they hide behind this language of populism and nationalism and ethno-populism, which is just white supremacist, white nationalist newspeak. If you look at Stephen Miller in high school, his high school friends basically said he's a racist. You should be terrified of this man. Stephen Miller in high school, his formative years, basically broke up a relationship with a Hispanic brother because he said, I can't be friends with Latinos and Hispanics anymore. While in high school, Stephen Miller trolled and harassed black and brown students in his high school. He even gave a speech, Tom, where he basically insulted the black and brown janitors. Who does this thing? And then if you look at policy, from immigration to, quote-unquote, wanting to shut down the border, to now we have apparently a leak from the White House, someone who's, within the inner circle saying Stephen Miller is gloating about these images of our little children, black and brown children, in this case Hispanic Latino children, in cages.
Right, he says it makes the snowflakes go crazy.
He's a professional troll. And trolling is, again, a strategy we're seeing with the quote-unquote alt-right, which are basically white supremacists and white nationalists, to assault common decency, to assault the common good. And I'm just so frustrated and disgusted, as I'm sure you are and many of your listeners, that the New York Times, again, has failed. They've failed in their obligation to provide both context and information, because information without context from a major media outlet, that's malpractice. And they did it again. I'm sure you saw this with Stephen Miller. They had an interview with him on the record about this evil policy of destroying families, and they nixed it because the White House complained.
Right. They nixed broadcasting, putting out the audio of it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Stephen Miller would have sounded like the smug, self-satisfied white racist that he apparently is. I'm guessing. So,
and that also gets us to, pardon the interruption, to Noam Chomsky. Thinking about Noam Chomsky and his, magisterial essay about the idea of the corporate media and how the press, the fourth estate, became the news media. It's about profits. Yeah. And the New York Times, just like other major media outlets, they value access over truth-telling. And they won't tell you the truth about Donald Trump because they want access.
Yeah, this is the change that happened in 1987 when Ronald Reagan repealed the Fairness Doctrine. Prior to that, in order to keep their broadcast licenses, the radio and television stations of America, and thus the networks that fed them, had to actually provide real news. It was called programming in the public interest. And after 1987, they no longer had to. Within 6 months of Reagan undoing that, the news division of CBS News was moved under the purview of the Vice President of Entertainment. News became entertainment officially in 1987 at CBS and on all the other networks within a year. And it still is. It's infotainment. It's like Les Moonves said on that investor call, about Donald Trump back in, before the election. But during the primaries, he said, Donald Trump may be bad for America, but he's great for CBS. Keep it up, Donald. This is what we have. It is why it doesn't matter the network you tune to, MSNBC, CNN, obviously Fox, whatever it may be. If Donald Trump is doing something, you're going to see him on television.
Absolutely. I mean, and here are the other, again, tricks that they use. So literally, they are tricks. It's about framing. Both sides do it. Whataboutism. Always trying to find some false equivalency. So literally, you'll have a representative from the Trump regime on the television lying.
Right.
And then you'll have supposedly serious people debating him. You don't debate lies. And what this does is, and George Lakoff had a great interview where he outlined how this happens, is the mainstream news media, they pick up these lies and circulate them. The average person who's busy, distracted, full of anxiety, even if they have access to information, what is the quality of it? All they're hearing is this echo chamber where Trump's lies are repeated over and over and over and over again. So even by giving a platform to these professional right-wing Trump fascist propagandists, they're not speaking truth to power. They're actually helping him.
Well, and one of the things we know is that particularly when a lie is a frame at the same time it's a lie, which is what Trump's doing. MS-13. Portraying all these young brown kids coming from south of the border as potential gang members. And it's the reason why, and I'm assuming Stephen Miller's fingerprints are all over this, why the White House directed whichever ICE, I guess it is, who's running these detention centers, or the ORR, to only release pictures of teenage boys, right? Mm-hmm. Because, those teenage boys, these are MS-13 members, or they sure could be. They definitely will be when we're done with them, that kind of stuff, and it's so hard to fight. I mean, it's so hard to challenge when they pick up a lie, or Spygate. Trump invented this word Spygate to suggest that the FBI had embedded a spy inside his presidential campaign, which was a lie from the beginning. But every time they repeated the word, that's all they had to do. And these guys are very, very good at this. So,
well, here's another example. Goebbels would be proud of this one. Even thinking about the language that the mainstream media, the so-called liberal media, there's no liberal media in this country, it's corporate media, how, again, they're doing this evil work. So these are prison camps for children. These are prisons.
Right.
These are not open tent cities. These are concentration camps. There's a great piece by a scholar over at Haaretz who's written extensively about the Holocaust, basically saying these are concentration camps. Another one would be tender care centers. Right. What madness is this? These are prisons for babies, but they repeat the narrative, and they may put it in quotation marks. So they may say that Trump dissembles or the facts are in dispute. This man is a professional liar, and because he's a fascist and authoritarian, what is one of the key strategies? Timothy Snyder and I have talked about this extensively on my podcast and also at Salon.com, where I've interviewed him repeatedly, that the fascist authoritarian wants to create confusion. Donald Trump is a human chaos engine. And the chaos and the confusion is how he advances his policy. So here's something else that you probably have spoken about or shared on your show. So we have all this chaos about Trump's assault on families driven by Stephen Miller at the border. Well, while this is going on, this maelstrom, these Republicans in Congress are basically trying to cut Social Security and Medicare.
Right.
Where's the focus on that?
Yeah, and over $1 trillion, by the way, $1.5 trillion. They want to cut almost $600 million out of Medicare. Excuse me, $1 billion out of Medicare. And, billions of dollars out of Social Security, and put lifetime caps on Medicaid recipients, which is going to be a disaster for most Medicaid recipients. I mean, this is these are crimes against the Republic that are being completely ignored by the media because, hey, we've got this freak show going on over here.
It's a really, really devious strategy.
Yeah.
And it's remarkably successful. And I'm sure a lot of folks probably don't want to hear this because they're so excited about Trump's fate, because it's not an executive order. This memo he issued would actually make, in many ways, things worse. Now you're locking up whole families, and it doesn't actually do
indefinitely.
Indefinitely.
Indefinitely. We've gone from a 20-day limit to indefinite. I mean, this is going to make an enormous amount of profit for his buddies in the private prison industry.
Oh, absolutely. And again, this is again where we get to the emoluments clause, and we need to have transparency with Trump and his inner circle and how they're profiting from this. But again, as I said, it's going to be an unpopular opinion. Trump won. I know folks are so excited, but he won because he created chaos. He assaulted people. It's ethnic violence. And what authoritarians do, and Trump has done this repeatedly with his assault on American democracy, is they test limits. Yeah, and then they see Chauncey. We're out of time, but Chauncey DeVega